Darren from Property Prosperity. Today I thought I'd have a chat to you about real estate agents. And sometimes you might have had the experience where you're not really sure whether the agent is acting on your best behalf. And I suppose, what I thought I'd talk about this is I had the experience the other day. I was actually having a chat to someone and they were looking around for a real estate agent, and they actually they found an agent that was considerably cheaper, and the agent said, hey, well, I'm going to sell it, I'm not going to charge you very much money at all to sell your property. But actually what I do is I've got people that come to me that are looking for properties, and I charge them money to find a property. And so essentially what I'm doing then is I don't have to charge you as much to sell your house, because I get paid for the people to find houses in the first place. So, that means, you don't have to pay as much money, and it's obviously good for everybody. And so I know on the face of it, from this guy's perspective, he was like, man, that's really awesome. I don't have to pay so much money to sell my house, and it's going to be so much cheaper for me. But the thing to understand is, who does that agent work for? Is that agent working for you, the person selling your property, or is that agent working for the other person, which is paying them money to source a property for them? And you can understand that's why I refer to it as double dipping. They're trying to get money on both sides. Besides the fact that it's illegal, so essentially it's illegal to act on both parties' behalf. You really need to only act for an individual, one person. You can't go getting money from the seller and getting money from the purchaser. So that's the first thing. Obviously, it's against the law. But secondly, even just ethically, it's not ethically sound. And so, the surprising thing is, when I was having a chat to this person, they were like, "Oh no, it's really good because they don't have to pay so much money in real estate agent fees." The thing to understand is not so much what the real estate agent is charging you, is how much more value is the agent adding to the value of your house. Or in this particular case, is how much value are you losing from your house because the agent's selling your house at a discount, Understanding, so that could be his mate down the pub, or it could be his brother, or it could be anybody he's selling your house to. And all he has to do then is say, hey, well, this property's worth $550 and I can sell it to my mate down the pub for $450. And, you think it's awesome because I haven't had to pay so much money to get an agent to sell my house, but you've just lost $100,000. And obviously the purchaser's super happy. They're happy to give 10 grand or 20 grand or 30 grand to the agent because they're going to make, $100,000 by buying under $100,000 undervalued. So I think it's just something to be aware of. I suppose this is my concern when people are particularly focused on the commission the agent's charging. They're really focused on how much is the agent charging me, rather than focused on, firstly, how much the agent's making me, essentially. So the agent should be creating more value than they're charging you for. So in that case, the agent's commission should be irrelevant. If you can see the agent's actually going to make you more money than they're charging you, then really who cares what their commission is? If they can make you an extra $100,000, but they charge you $50,000 to sell your house, who cares? You made an extra $50,000. So what you need to be sure of, though, is the agent actually adding an extra $100,000 to the value of your house, which, that's the hard thing to guess, I suppose. But, you've really got to you look at their background, look at their history, and trying to see, is there any differences between the agents? I suppose my opinion to people is really, if you think all agents are the same, they all do the same thing, they're basically, whack an advert on the internet and have an open inspection, hand out some flyers and drive around someone's house and sign a contract, then, probably your agent is getting paid too much. And then you can purely compare based on price, because that's all they're doing, then that's not really that hard. So, whereas if the agent's actually, marketing the property really well, getting heaps of people to come to the opens, negotiating really well to make sure people pay top dollar, then, if they can show consistently they're making you, they're selling houses significantly more than other agents in the area, and they do it repeatedly, consistently, they can show you that's something they've got a proven track record on, then you can sort of see now why their commission becomes irrelevant. And you can see why this guy's situation, he was purely focused on how can I pay this agent the least amount of commission, but he was willing to give away the sale price of his house, potentially 50 or 100 grand. He might have to sell his house at a discount, purely for the focus on trying to minimize his commission he's paying to the agents. The other thing to think about too, obviously this is pretty obvious how that's misleading and deceptive and obviously illegal. The other thing that agents do, which I still consider double dipping as well, is the fact that a lot of agents have relationships with people that want to buy properties, and it might be developers like myself, or it might be investors that they keep on their database. And so if an agent ever comes to you saying, hey, I've got a person that wants to buy your property, and the agent's saying, don't worry about having open inspections, don't worry about putting it on the market, don't worry about advertising, I've got someone that's willing to buy it right now. Understand when the agent's doing that, he's not doing that passing it through to somebody that's going to pay top dollar. Because the thing to understand, if there is one person that wants to buy your property, there's probably other people that want to buy your property too. And so the reason why people want to be on an agent's database, and the reason why they want to buy a property before it goes on the market, basically it's called an off-market sale. It means selling it when it hasn't gone on the market. The reason why people want to be on an agent's database to be able to buy a property in off-market sale is because they understand and they've got an agreement with the agent, and they're going to buy it at a discount. They know they want to buy, they don't want to pay full market price. They don't want to compete with other people. They want to pay a price before it goes on the market. That's why it's called an off-market sale. And it's understood by everybody involved. An off-market sale means I'm buying the property at a discount. And so this is why I'd be very wary of an agent that says, hey, I've got a database of people, or I've got someone that wants to buy your house right now. Firstly, whether that's actually true or not is another thing. But secondly, if you do sign up with that particular agent, they do have that one individual, and they come and buy your house, and they don't have any opens, and they don't market the property, and they sell it to this one person, then you've really got to wonder, are they getting the highest price for my house? And legally, an agent is obligated, it's legislated, an agent actually has to get the highest possible price for your house. And so if that means they're not marketing your property, and they're not having open inspections, they're not negotiating with multiple parties, then how possibly can the agent get the higher price for your house if they're not exposing it to the market? So I can see from the owner's perspective why it would be a good idea not to have opens, and not to have signs, and not to have marketing, and not spend all the money associated with that. And I'm sure the agent would be willing to sell, reduce his commission if you're willing to, sell it to his mate down the pub. But I understand you're going to pay less money on marketing, and I understand you're going to pay less money in the agent's commission. But understand you are going to be selling your house at a significant discount. And it has to be a significant discount, because why else would someone want to buy a property, sight unseen, when it hasn't been marketed on the property, on the market? It's purely for the fact people want to be on a database, of an agent's database, because they want to get properties at a discount. So, and I don't know if you've listened to any of my podcasts before, I've interviewed quite a few buyers agents. And obviously if you are someone looking at purchasing a property, I definitely advise you to ring up all the agents, get on their database, become good friends with the agents, and say, hey, Mr. Agent, tell me about a property comes on the market. I'm willing to buy it off you, before it goes on the market. And, 9 times out of 10, you will find an agent that's going to say, yeah, that's awesome. No problems. I'll give you a call as soon as I find one. The reason agents do that is because it makes their life a lot simpler, and it makes it a lot easier, because then they can find a property and sell it straight away without having to go through the hassle of trying to sell a house. And to be honest, it is a hassle trying to sell a house. It's hassle for the owner. It's hassle for the agent. It's hassle for everyone involved. It's hassle for the buyers when they have to compete against other people. But unfortunately, as much of it's a hassle, the reason you go through all this hassle is because you're going to get the highest possible price for your house. And that could be tens of thousands of dollars, $50,000 more, or even $100,000 more, purely by the fact you've had to, you've gone through the process of selling a house. And so I understand it seems like a hassle, but, I definitely advise you to go through the process of selling your house, market the property really well, get an agent that's going to negotiate the property on the property really well, and make sure you get the highest possible price. Because, it's better to get, tens, $50,000, $100,000 extra in your pocket than pass that off to the next person that's going to buy your property. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the money, it's about what you can do with the money next. What's your next thing you can do with that? It might allow you to buy a slightly better house, or a house in a slightly better location, or it might mean you got some extra money in your pocket. Put some money aside for retirement, or just go on holidays, or just buy a new car, or whatever it happens to be. That discount you're giving away the house for, that's money that could be in your pocket, that be going towards your family, going towards your kids, going towards you changing your lifestyle in some way. So it's real money, and I think that's the thing that people don't necessarily understand with houses. It's real money you're talking about. So every dollar counts. And so every single cent that you can get when you're selling the house is going to be money in your pocket that's going to help you do that next thing you want to do. So hopefully this made sense. Thanks, guys. And yeah, if you liked what I had to say, click on the like button. If you haven't liked it, still click on the like button, because I really appreciate it. And if you can know someone that are selling the house, and they're thinking about, they've got an agent that they can do an off-market sale where they don't have to open inspections, they don't have to put a sign out the front, they don't have to worry about any marketing. Perhaps you want to share this, and hopefully they'll get some useful information out of it. And if you've got a comment, you've had experience in the past where you've sold off market and you found that maybe you sold it at a bit of a discount. Or likewise, you purchased a property off market and you managed to get a bargain because you didn't have to compete with anybody else, which I'd love to really hear about it and find out a bit more. So put a comment in the comment box. Or if you've got something you'd like me to talk about in a future episode, then yeah, put something in there. I'm happy to have a chat about anything to do with property. So thanks, guys, and I look forward to catching up with you next time. Bye for now.